Hello. Oh, I gotta powder my nose real quick. Toni, admit participants. Looking to a host. Hi. Wait, oh shoot. I almost changed the host wrong. Hold on, I'll unmute you in a second, Toni. Co-host. Yes. Co-host. Yes. And ask to unmute. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. Keep it quiet. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay. And one is my hand sink in my kitchen. They're all leaking and what.
I'll mute her real quick. Okay. What was I gonna go run and get? I can't remember.
Powder your nose.
Powder my nose. Thank you. Oh my God. You're horrible. Wants to do it. No. Oh yeah, we're recording. Okay.
Okay. Oh yeah, we are.
Cancel. Okay. Hi everybody. Welcome
Hi.
to. My name is Lori Weir. I'm a business and life coach, and I am hosting a SIP Tiara Party 2020 to entertain the ladies while shelter in place, as well as bring exposure to some businesses, women in business, that through this time, how they're doing and who they are, and bring better exposure to them, as well as wrap it around to local nonprofit news, who serves our community with victims of domestic violence and sexual abuse. And we learned yesterday's show that they also have really cool programs where they actually serve our community with the schools around here with preventative education through coaching and sports with children, so that we can empower them with education, how to protect themselves in those situations, as well as reaching out for help, which I think is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's get this party started. Today we have Toni, is it Chiappetta?
Chiappetta.
Chiappetta. Toni Chiappetta with Sweetie Pies, Napa Downtown in the Hat Mill. They're at 520 Main Street. She's been in business for 20 years, but she has a lifetime of cooking and baking experience leading up to even the last 20 years. And I am so grateful to have you here today. Toni, you inspired me to ask to be on the show because I think of you as a local hero. I mean, and small businesses like yours, when we went into SIP, there's a component to survival for your own business, but the way you chose to strategize yourself through like opening yourself up as a source for the community to be able to purchase baking supplies while at SIP. Like I remember hearing word of mouth, flour, sugar, yeast, anything that they needed. It kind of took it back to the old time general store situation where
Yes.
you were providing in these ways that were old school, but through your bakery. And I don't know if people really like noticed that about you, is that you came up with a strategy to help you survive, to help your family of employees continue to be employed, and then also open up to the community and provide provisions that they couldn't get in the grocery stores. So I think you're pretty darn heroic in my mind.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Sorry, I got interrupted by SIP boy. Carl Parker. Ah! So, oh yeah, and then also the fact in providing for the community, like ready-made meals that they could take to go.
Yes.
And all of these things are strategies to actually survive as a business, but look at how many layers and how it was like also directed at serving others at the same time. And I just thought it was really inspiring, and I was excited to ask you to be a part of this show. Many small businesses, I think, we used to be the backbone of America. I still think we are. I just think that the way the game has changed with government regulations and such, it just makes it that much harder for us to be as successful as we can with this, and have the strength in our backbone. Clearly you have the strength of a lion in your backbone.
I don't know about that, but I do. You go into survival mode.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you know, so I wrote down, you're a woman of strong character and true grit, which is something that not everybody has. And I wanted to ask you, where do you get that grit from, girl?
New York Italian. And my mother was pretty, she ran a business. They had a luncheonette in the old days. And my father thought he was in charge, but really my mother was, kind of thing. My father was the BSer and he would talk to people. So I get it from that. Plus, I've been on my own since I was 18 or 19. And I just do. I'm one of those people.
Yeah,
You know,
you just
I
carve
feel
your
like
path.
my calling is that I feed people. That's the way I look at it.
Uh-huh.
So
That's wonderful. I love it. And so you grew up in the food industry,
yes.
and through your parents. And I've got multiple generations of the restaurant industry as well. It goes back way back. And so, like, I grew up in the restaurant industry as a child, but I never jumped into it. Yet you did.
I didn't mean to. I was bartending for a lot of years. But you know, I was in my mid to late 20s and I was like, I can't do this forever. Although you really could. So I went to a small cooking school in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which was an overall school. You learned everything. And then from there, I started working in restaurants and bakeries for other people. And I was still in Massachusetts. Then I went to work in Philly. So I lived in New Jersey. And then I came out here to open Table 29. And that was about 1991 or so.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So you moved to the Napa area, like, is that like 30 years ago?
Yeah, at least. Well, let's do the math.
Yeah.
We'll say 91. Yeah, almost 30. Yep.
Yeah. Wow. And then, so you opened Sweetie Pies in 2000.
No, I opened in 94 and I rented kitchen space. What happened was I was working at Bistro Don Giovanni and basically I got fired. And the woman that lived upstairs from me just happened to be a manager at the roasting company in Napa. And so I started baking little things out of the house and said, here, sell them and give me some money. Because
so
I
you
was
started
collecting
out
unemployment.
I probably ate those baked goodies back then.
Probably, and they became my first customer. And so from there, and that was like in March, by May, I had to rent kitchen space. It's no longer there. It was called Four Kitchens. So I did that for 6 years and then moved into the hat market in 2000.
So Sweetie Pies kind of evolved and started almost on accident, and you just had so many people wanting your goodies that renting a kitchen wasn't enough, and you were brave enough with that true grit of yours to say, you know what, might as well have my own joint.
I would go to different places. I didn't have a menu. I didn't have business cards. I had nothing. And I went to like Oakville Grocery. I went to Valergus. Actually, I got Oakville Grocery and one of the girls' mothers worked at Valergus. So I was working with Valergus then and a few other businesses in Sunshine Market, which we still service. So, you know, it was word of mouth for a really long time. And then we did do some retail, but not that much.
There is so much power and strength in Napa with that power of, like, the power of the mouth, word of mouth, and referral around here. Is it fair to say that you believe that that's the backbone of Napa, is that word of mouth is still
Little Big Town
in our community?
Yeah, Little Big Town. It's everybody. Well, I mean, word travels fast. Some things you don't want to travel too fast, but word travels fast. And
tell us more.
Yeah, I got in a little trouble yesterday, but that's okay.
We talked about it before.
I voiced my opinion, and I should not.
See, this is one of those things that I find interesting about being a business owner, is when you share an opinion, it holds so much more weight to it.
Yes.
And people are more quickly to tell you to be quiet as if you don't have the same level of voice. Like, you know what? You've got your business, you stay to your business. And I remember going through that where it's like, wait a minute, I'm a human too with thoughts and opinions just like anybody else. It doesn't take away from my business, but you know,
Yeah. No, I mean, I get it. And you know, I understood where the woman was coming from. That had nothing to do with selling, but every day I put a song online when I post. And so I went a little too into detail. So I'll stop that now and just put on, and if they get it, they get it. They don't, they don't. So today's was We All Disagree by Dave Mason. Yes. Yeah.
You know what, Toni? I love you just the way you are, as we've had a couple of powerful conversations. And you know what? You stay with being you, because one thing I know about you for sure is you can't change you. You are solid with who you are. So you continue to be brave and have your thoughts and opinions. And every now and again, those naysayers, they're just trying to take power over a difference of thoughts and opinions. And the beauty of America is this is a place where we have the right to be able to share our thoughts and opinions, and you don't have to agree with it, and we can still be friends.
Right. Sometimes.
Well, some people it's like, well, you know, and that's okay. But I feel like it could be limiting for the greater of us that really enjoy you exactly the way you are.
Thank you.
So with that naysayer, I mean, I love your song today because it's a nice.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. Yep, I get it.
Well, and I don't want to hold anybody back from getting to know you.
Thank you.
I mean, I've known you a little bit.
I'm a tough one. You know, it's moving out here is very different than living in New York. And I'm from Connecticut, from Coscob, which is right near New York State, near the line to go into New York, near Portchester. So I grew up that we were, let's see, what can I say? I'm a New Yorker. So when I came out here, my mouth got me in trouble because, you know, that we are what we are back there. And here it's a little more laid back, and I'm not laid back, unfortunately. I mean, I've come around to things, and people are more accepting as they get to know me, but you have to get to know me in order to understand that when I open and I get loud, it's not because I'm mad, it's because I'm nervous and anxious. You know what I mean? My voice raises. I'm Italian. I talk with my hands and I have a big mouth.
Yeah. And again, love you just the way you are.
Thank you.
And on top of that, I mean, always remember this is the beauty of California is the level of diversity that we have.
Yes.
And you know, the New York culture is just another culture. And when somebody within a couple of sentences hears that little bit of your accent, I mean, if they don't understand that that's a part of the New York culture, well, introduction. This is how it rolls. And again, I just love that as an addition to our community. I mean, up until we had all of this redevelopment happening with downtown, you know, we really didn't have a very diverse population. But now the diversity is significantly increased, and there are a lot more people from New York that are here amongst other pieces. So, you know, the ones that aren't really used to it, you know, they're going to get used to it more. Yep. And kind of consider yourself a pioneer in the New Yorkers and educating them. This is the way we roll. Don't take it personally. Right. We're loud. We're going to curse a bit, and we aren't afraid. We are brave, and we're going to carve our path. I love it. I love it. Okay, so I wanted to, you said something in one of our conversations.
Uh-oh.
I loved it though. You said this perfect thing, because I want to talk about like how you're getting through this time period, like how you're utilizing your true grit to maximize things. So there was something interesting you said, like how did you, well, I'll ask you, how did you tap into yourself to design solutions for your business to continue? Like,
well, what happened was the first thing I did was I asked my staff if they wanted to stay open or if they wanted to close, because if they didn't want to work, I couldn't force them at that point.
Right.
They chose to work. So then my job became I have to figure out how to make the business work, like how to keep everybody safe, what products to do, what to do, how to change where we need to change, and how to stay the same where we needed to stay the same. And luckily I had a friend that owned a catering company for years, and he's a consultant now for caterers. And he's very, very knowledgeable. And we were going back and forth. We're texting constantly and going over things, because when I realized they wanted to stay open, it's like, okay, so now what do we do? And the dinners just happened. I think I did the chicken pot pie first, which we used to do just individuals. And I had these containers, and I just said, let's do chicken pot pie and see how it goes. And we were selling 40 a day.
Wow.
At first, yeah. Sorry, employees.
No, that's okay. I know. Oh, I'm so lucky that you're making this time for us. Well, and I mean, I love that what you did, your first thing that you did, part of it was you didn't feel you had a choice, because really the employees had a choice. But you actually tapped in and asked them, like, what do you want? And
well, they weren't happy. I'll tell you.
Well, who would be happy in SIP?
I changed everything. I was up front a lot, and that drove them crazy up there, because then I would see things and I would say, we have to do this, we have to do that. And unfortunately, you don't have weeks to change it. You have to change it in a day.
Moments.
And they weren't getting this. So I was making their life hard, and they're like, well, you want to make all these changes. And I said, but you have to. Yeah. You don't have any choice. So like the market thing, that came from my Cisco rep. And we started selling eggs. I started on a Friday, and by Saturday, there were 3 other businesses doing it. I did like a little country store. We sold things that we had and that we could get plentifully.
That you could get that nobody else could. That's that community service piece. Like, you're thinking strategy, like survival strategy, keep the team paid. What can we do? You're looking around your room, and you're looking for resources, and you're tapping into containers for pot pies, and you're looking at your vendors and saying, nobody can get these goods in stores right now. People are mad about toilet paper and eggs and butter, and it's just, and yeast and flour.
Yeah, what's the deal with yeast?
And you're like, I'm tapping
Oh,
into
I know.
vendors.
And we sell fresh yeast, which is different than the yeast you buy in the store. And so I had to explain to people how to use it, which I don't care. That's fine. And then, but it gives you a different product. It's a better product because it takes longer to proof rather than the dry. The dry will it's an instant, more like an instant type yeast. So it moves faster than the other one is slow rising. So you do get a better product. People seem to be happy with it. I guess you can get it after now. Excuse me. Now we're finding people aren't coming in for as much stuff like flour and things. So it must be getting more plentiful, but I still couldn't find toilet paper and paper towels till this week.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And I just lucked upon it.
It's crazy.
For me.
Okay. So I want to touch back on, like, with that tapping into designing solutions for you. You used this interesting moment, or shared this interesting moment, where you said everything went, like, Lori, what happened was everything went from black and white to full color.
Yep.
Tell me about that.
Well, I was sitting on the couch at home, and for the first 9 weeks, I was here by about 7 in the morning. We cut our hours back, so I would be here like 7 to 4, 7 to 5. And I was in the kitchen, I was in the office, I was doing lots of things everywhere, and didn't take a day off. So one day I was sitting on the couch, and it was just like it was almost like somebody turned a switch on, and you looked at it and you said, oh, so if I do this, when we took everything and changed it, and I understood, like, okay, so this money is very nicely paying for this. We ended up getting a PPP loan, which is very odd for me. I got it real quickly. And we were able to, so then I could separate the payroll and the rent, and you have 4 weeks of breathing room. I'm at 2 now. I have 2 left. But it was just like, okay, I get it. I have some small wholesale accounts. Can't do them anymore. It just doesn't make sense. I have to I think the retail, and we're going to start, we actually ship as well. We ship product through Gold Belly on an e-commerce site. So that alone, those 2 things are going to change the business.
What do you sell to them?
I ship pies, I ship Anzacs, and now we're going to do pot pies.
Wow.
Yeah, we did a test run and it worked pretty well. And it's a good way to go. I've already rented a freezer to go outside in the parking lot for the beginning of November, for November and December.
So
we got inundated.
So you're even seeing opportunities that COVID and SIP has shaken your business up, that through like pivoting the business, you've actually found a new way to do business, a new avenue, a new freeway system of income that you'll take way beyond SIP. So it's that's amazing.
Yep.
That's great.
Yep.
So you're taking SIP and turning it into being one of the greatest things that could have happened to pivoting your business.
It's like we made lemonade out of lemons. So
yeah.
But
it's going to make lemonade indefinitely.
It wasn't a good thing, but it was something to like jolt us to wake up and smell the coffee. Now everybody's opening back up, so we're going to see those numbers drop. And there was only a couple of us open for the whole time. So I know there's going to be a downtick now, but hopefully it won't be as bad as I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people didn't know about us that were first time visitors here.
Yeah.
So,
which is pretty amazing. So what else turned to color for you?
Well, I felt more, I don't want to say empowered, but I felt stronger. After the first couple of days, I was just crying because you don't know what to do. And
you're responsible for a family of employees. How many employees do you have?
Well, we're working with 21 right now.
So you have 21 staff members. That's 21 families. It's not 21 people, because you're putting food on their dining room table that's feeding their spouses. To really watch that 21 people, I can tell that your mind is much larger. You're thinking about their dining room tables and who eats at them. So that's much greater. It's probably more fair to say it's going to be, say, 70 people that you're thinking about whenever you're making decisions.
The most employees that I had was 28. Maybe 30 was the most ever. And that's when we were doing a lot of caterers and things. They all have pastry chefs now. So, sorry. Are you still there?
Yeah.
My Cisco rep keeps trying to cut in. So it just turned, I just felt the first few days you felt helpless. But then once it started to turn around and I saw customers coming in and people were happy that we were open, it made a huge difference. It made a huge difference and for me and for my employees. Because at first everybody was very grateful. Yeah. Now, not so much because everybody's crabby, but in the beginning,
they've been, in captivity for like 2.5 months now.
Right?
So
I get it.
You see the cranky that goes on around this house with my 5-year-old twin. Oh my God. Sorry.
That's all right. I get it.
Lori's losing her mind.
I know. Oh my God. Thank God for Miranda. Okay. Yeah. It's interesting that whole process that you're going through. And again, having to have the strong shoulders to carry it all. I should be sitting up. The strong shoulders that you carry all of that, it's just amazing. And again, a hero. I mean, when that level of gratitude they have, I wish we could hold on to that and use it more and have more support and empathy for each other. And especially I'm looking forward to the next part of our conversation we're going to have, but I really want to stay on target with how I want to cover things. So, like with you and your business right now, what are your biggest challenges at this time between like staff and clients and whatever it is? Like,
Well,
currently.
one of the issues now is we had cut back the hours. So we're usually open 6:30 to 5 some days, 6:30 to 6 others, and then 7 on Sunday, 7 to 4 on Sunday, 7 to 5 on Sunday. So I knocked all those hours back. We opened 7:30, Sunday at 8, and we're closing at 3:30 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we need to get back to some of the old hours because it's hard for people to get here before 3:30. Now people are starting to go back to work. Well, we can't find any retail staff. I've had ads out. I have on Indeed. I have a sign in the store. I've put it on Facebook. We have a couple of interviews, but people would send us their resumes and they never called us back. They would never
get. We talked about that. Like it's likely July 25th, unless it gets extended. The $600 weekly stipend on top of unemployment has people making more money staying at home, and they're on like this indefinite vacation in their minds, and they're taking for granted that the jobs will be there by July 25th versus considering the fact you ought to be putting all that stuff in a little nest egg.
Well, there's always
actually want to work so that the businesses will be sustainable and they'll be there on the other side. And it's real hard for them to see that bigger picture of, you know, if the pirate ship cannot continue because there is no staff to run the ship will sink.
Right.
And then when you get off your little life preserver, there's not going to be a boat to jump on. And now you're going to be on this life preserver going through the freaking ocean in the storm and hope you don't get dumped under the waves before you find another ship to hop off on that may not even be your kind of ship that you would be having a good time with.
Yeah, so, no, I get it. I can see one side of it, but if the government wants us to get back to normal, but yet we're also causing it not to get back to normal. So we're kind of a catch-22 right now. The jobs aren't going to be there the way they were before this happened. A lot of restaurants, even some here, are not going to reopen. And some of them that will, I mean, you might not make it. I don't know what the future is going to bring.
The restaurant industry is a tough industry. It was very, very tight. What is it? Before all this happened, I think the statistic, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it's like a 30% survival rate. Only 30% of the business restaurant industry that opens, only 30% will make it.
Right.
And in Napa, I think it's an even harsher climate because we're spoiled with really amazing food. So unless you are amazing at what you do, you'll not make it here. And that's a testament to you being in business for as long as you have is clearly your shit is good. I want to eat it. Everybody wants to eat it. It really has to be top notch to make it here. So I imagine that the survival rate of a restaurant in Napa Valley is actually a smaller margin, more like 20%, 15% make it. So yeah.
Excuse me.
You need a drink of water, darling? There you go. So yeah.
Well, and while she's choking, I'll just say that, you know, sorry, I have a concern about Napa. Toni, I don't live in Napa. I live down in the Bay Area. And, you know, there's a couple of issues that my daughter has talked to me about who lives up in Napa. And one of them is that all the counties are opening a little differently. Like I live in San Mateo County, which is, you know, not opening. Restaurants are not opening. You know, things are not happening. We have too many cases. So says the director of health. But Napa is so dependent on, not dependent on, but very built on tourism.
Yes.
So you know, like for me from San Mateo, my daughter lives up there. I'd be up there easily once a month, you know, going out to dinner with her, going around downtown, looking at stuff, going to wineries. Well, I haven't done that in, you know, 4 months. and don't know when I will.
Oh, I know. But this
Yeah.
weekend.
Oh, this last weekend I went downtown. Oh my God. But honey, we should share what you saw. Share what you saw.
My friend rode his bike through Yountville both Saturday and Sunday, and it was packed with people.
From other
Tiara
counties. From other counties.
Oh, really?
Like a block party. Downtown was busy.
No masks. They coming in from were the first county to lighten up, and so all these other counties came in. Nobody was doing social distancing. Nobody was wearing masks. Nobody, and they were all up against each other, and that's scary for me. So we did not stop. We drove past where we were going to stop, and we went out of downtown. But how do you feel about that, Toni? Like happening?
Well,
you're in that.
We're trying, like in the store. It's difficult. We only have like 12 seats inside, and then I have some seats outside, and we're going to make more outside. And we have them distanced. But people coming in without masks, and even though we have a sign, you ask them to please put a mask on, and they'll argue with you.
Oh my gosh.
And so yesterday, I'll give you an example. There was a gentleman with his young son in. And it was first thing in the morning. And behind them were 4 bicyclists, and they were older, probably in their 60s, around my age. And when one gentleman got up to the counter, he said the child didn't have a mask on. And my employee had heard that children under a certain age do not have to wear a mask.
I think that's under
so. While I was doing a delivery, the gentleman emailed me saying, before I go public with this knowledge that you're allowing people in without a mask, I wanted to get your take on it. So instead of emailing him, I called him and I explained, because in my mind, I'm thinking, wait a minute, I just went through 9 or 10 weeks of this hell. And now one thing is going to break me.
Yeah.
This person's going to get out there and say that we're not following the rules, then people won't come in and it'll be a whole big thing. And we worked so hard to get here to try to get out the other side, so I came back and my employee had looked up children 6 and under are not required to wear masks. So it was fine. We were in the right.
You were in the realm of acceptance by mandate.
Right. But it was, the first thing in my mind was, oh, great. It's going to go on. He was going to put it on Neighbor.
And this is how vulnerable we can be, like at any time with a business. But now when you busted your ass to come up with these amazing strategies, you're considering all the staff and their families and support that this one dude is going to crush.
Right.
Potentially.
It could be anybody.
Stress is super high and real with that.
Well, and then you've got, I would say that there's the concern of people are mad that they're not, other people aren't wearing masks. But then your employees, what a burden that is for them to have to enforce that people do wear masks.
Yes.
I mean, hopefully that won't happen in Napa or in parts of Northern California, but we see in other states, somebody got shot at McDonald's. That's just ridiculous. I mean, very scary. It shouldn't be the burden of your employees to insist that people wear masks. But I also do believe, I just posted something on my Facebook page about this, but I feel really strongly that you're a private business and you own your business. And if you want to refuse, you refuse service to people who come in without shoes.
Like no shirt, no shoes, no service?
Yeah, no shoes, no service, no mask, no service. And we have the right to enforce that. I mean, you need to, as the business community, I'm involved with the business community down where I live because of course I'm involved in everything. Because I retired, I don't have anything else to do. So, but I do think that, you have to work with the business community to work with the police department. I know in my town, they're upping the number of patrol officers that walk in the downtown area. But it's really, I think this is, and I hear you. I think that the fact that we're not all in this together, like, oh, we're going to open up back up, but you have to social distance and wear a mask, it pisses me off, that people won't do it. And they're like, well, it's my right not to. And I'm like, no, it's not.
It's not.
Maybe if you're walking on the street, but no, it's not.
I was talking about this with Miranda the other day because it's like, it's so great where in our country we can have our own thoughts and feelings and actually express them, freedom of speech, and that we get to choose the way we want to live. But we also elected these government officials to actually come up with what's going to be a collective decision. And whether we agree with it or not, like, I don't personally agree about, bringing Trump into the game. Now, do I hate the guy? That's another topic. But as a president, it's like we as a collective in the system that we created, the dude's in charge. And so what he says goes, and I don't have to agree with it, but, with certain components, we have to comply. We chose our local government in our county and our city to represent the collective. And so when they share a mandate, it's like, hey, I don't have to agree with it, but I do agree in the process that we did design this country on. And I believe in that. United we stand. We don't have to agree on everything, but there are these certain mandates and laws that, whether I like it or not, as a collective, and this is how I explained it to my children. As a collective, the community decided that we would go shelter in a place. As a community, we have decided that we're going to wear a mask.
Yeah.
Well, my cousin who's in Florida, she's in her 70s or maybe even her 80s now. She is very opinionated and went from Democrat to Republican. And her ideal is that if I don't want to wear a mask, I don't have to, but then I won't go in your store. But that's not the way it is with most people.
Yeah.
If I don't want to wear a mask, I'm going to come in whether I have it on or not.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and I can tell you, thank you for keeping the mask going, because we have been going over to a friend that has a large gated property where my kids can run feral on their property and we can social distance and be together. Yet, there's always those moments of forget, so you get a little close, so then you pull back. And we just found out the other day that the husband, through this whole thing, he doesn't really care about the mask, but his wife didn't know. And so he was complaining about a story when he went to go into a hardware store, pick up a can of paint, and they booted him out, made him go back to the truck and go get the mask on. And he was so mad. But you know what? If you want the can, you put the mask on.
Right.
So to me, I'm like, okay, he has a different value system, but thank goodness for the store or the stores that say, yeah, no, you got to go back to your car and go get that goodie and then come back in, happy to serve you. So please hold strong with it as much as you can, because for those of us that are trying and we have these loved ones that don't necessarily believe the same thing we do, you're helping us too by staying true to it. So thank you for that. So like, I want to ask you, like, how we can support you as a community. Anybody that's going to be watching this later on when it's uploaded on the YouTube channel, there's specific ways that we can support you. Like, buying is one thing. Subscribing to Facebook, you've got if you subscribe to Facebook, you're able to like see all of the things that you're doing as daily specials and such, and have a little fun and keep your spunk in there, girl. I love your daily song. But and subscribe on your website, sweetiepies.com.
Yep.
But really, what I want to ask you is, how can we support you as a businesswoman so that we can be the community giving back to you when we come into your store? How can we support you as a woman, Toni?
Oh, I don't know.
Because we can't come in and hug you. I want to hug you. I want to hug you so bad. But we got to come up with something creative, like maybe something they can say.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea. You're putting me on the spot.
Couldn't plan on that.
I mean, just to come in and be kind to the staff does a ton for us. You know, when people come in and just say thank you, it makes them feel better. You know, I'm more worried about them at this point, because for me, it's sink or swim, but I don't want to hurt anybody else in the process. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you never want to intend to cause harm.
No. And so I would rather them get the knowledge that, or, you know, have people explain to them how they do appreciate it and blah, blah, blah. So that to me would mean more. Me personally, I I just wanted to make people happy during this time. That was all we were looking for. And
I
to
get
make
an
it work.
idea. Anybody that watches this,
Yeah.
if you go into Sweetie Pies, I want you to go in and you let her know that she's a hero.
Thank
Because
you.
you're my hero. You're
Thank
a
you.
hero as a small business owner that is a woman in power, that has true grit, that is constantly in a state of coming up with, looking at your resources around you, tapping into them, and turning large pans into large pot pies in order to
good one,
serve
good
and
one, good one.
provide.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you are a hero to our community. You're a hero and a leader as a businesswoman that is showing that in a storm, you know how to take your pirate ship and make it sail right through that motherfucker. And I think
Right.
you're awesome. So I'm telling you, pardon my French, guys, but I know that Toni likes to cuss.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all.
I'm saying it for her. I want anybody to watch this to go out, and I'm going to put it out to the Tiara group, that the way that we can actually help you is to remind you of the hero that you are.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
To everybody's support is going and joining on the website, sweetiepies.com. Subscribe to her website so that you can find out how to support her business through Yummy Yummy Yummies. And also on her Facebook page, where you can actually see, as she's shifting the game as she goes through this, how you guys can actually partake. And then also that gratitude with the staff, and whether it's with Sweetie Pies, it's any business with any employee.
Exactly.
Okay? They're all serving and putting themselves at risk to a certain extent, sacrifice because they could be at home eating bonbons, and instead they're choosing to come into work as hard as it is. And Toni is a hero.
Thank you.
And
Appreciate
on that
it.
note,
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us, Toni. Did anybody else have any other questions they want to ask Toni?
I do. Surprise. Surprise, surprise. Hi, Toni. I'm Molly. I just wanted to ask, you've been open all this time. Was your staff, nobody got sick? Everybody was well? Everybody was fine? They were all able to come in?
Yep.
That's
Yes.
great.
I got tested and I'm negative. So I got tested and got my results a couple of weeks ago.
Yay.
No, everybody, they were just coming to work and going home. And everybody was they wear masks. We had gloves on at that point. So we had gloves on all the time. They're still using gloves out front.
Yeah.
And, you know, we just, it just, that was what we had to do. But no, luckily, thank God, nobody was ill here.
That's great. That's
now,
great.
what would happen if somebody does test positive? What will happen with your business? Will you
I
have
think
to?
You have to close.
You have to close for 2 weeks.
You'd have to close for 2 weeks and you'd have to totally sanitize. Yep.
So that still looms as a challenge, to an unforeseeable challenge to potentially face.
Right. Right.
All the more reason for everybody to wear their masks when they come in, because we do not want business to have to
Keeps
shut
everybody
down.
safe. Yep.
Especially after having to be shut down for as long as you've had, like you were able to make it through and be open, but there's some that have been closed for like over a month.
Yeah.
So yeah, wear your mask.
Oh, yeah, no. There's people closed the day it happened. They're still not open.
Yeah.
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 You know, it's tough when you've got a 500 seat restaurant. How are you going to cut that back?
Yeah.
They make money, they make their living on volume. So I get it. I get it.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Well,
I'm glad you're all well.
Me too.
I'm
Back
happy
at
to hear
ya.
that.
Yeah. Did you have any other fabulous questions, Molly? Molly's a good question asker, by the way. You can be my co-host.
Okay. Well, I might have missed it at the beginning, but I am curious. What made you come to California from Connecticut, New York?
I got a job at Table 29. It was it was owned by Alice Waters' husband and a chef from New York, Jonathan Waxman. So I came out here to be their pastry chef. And then I stayed on at Bistro for a year and a half.
Okay.
And then that was that.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, now that I know it was Alice Waters' husband and Jonathan Waxman, I can see why you would make a cross-country trip.
Right. I got, you know, I was hired sight unseen, so they got lucky and so did I.
Yeah, yeah. I was thinking otherwise, I'd be like, why would you come to California? But
Right.
yeah.
Right. And it was
Oh,
a
that's
big,
cool.
it was a big truck for me because, you know, I'm from the East Coast. My family was there, is there. My friends were there. But no, it was a good thing. I like it out here. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand
So-
what you were saying earlier about, you know, California is a little bit more laid back and very much wanting everybody to like them. Very odd.
Yeah.
Don't make waves.
Mm-hmm.
What was
Yeah.
it you
Yep.
just said? I missed it. Sorry.
I just said it's an odd thing about California, not everybody in California, but some, that a majority, that it's, you know, you don't want to, Californians want people to like them and they don't want to make waves and everything's calm and cool and no problem. And I don't fit in too well with that, but even though I'm a native Californian, but oh well, too bad, so sad. You know, so I'm Irish and have a big mouth and talk with my mouth.
Yeah.
and
So
hands,
we're all the same.
yeah,
Go
I get it.
Irish.
Yeah, I get it. But I was curious, but now that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that was it. Those are my only questions, Lori. I was curious
Hey,
about
thank
her.
you.
I will
They're
say,
great
Toni, I'm
questions.
sorry I haven't been in Sweetie Pies yet, but I certainly will be with my mask.
Once
I'm
you're
one of
able
those-
to travel.
Well, I'm one of those people who lives in a different county and won't come up because I feel like, why would I, you know, I don't know if I'm positive or negative. And, you know, even if I tested and I was negative, for all I know, I'd have it again I could get it in a month. But
Right.
I don't want to bring anything with me. So
Right.
I'm really sad to hear that, you know, Yountville was so crowded and people are coming from other counties. That makes me a little sad because I think that puts Napa County at risk.
Yes.
Well, it's going to be an interesting because I guess we're the guinea pigs. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're
you know,
the
it's
guinea
going to be
pigs.
interesting to see if the cases come up, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
let's live and learn at this point.
for all of us.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I will certainly, when it's safe to be there, for me to come
And we look
not
forward,
risk
I look
anybody.
forward to meeting you.
I will definitely make sure I introduce myself.
We
I
can
am
get
not
something
shy.
from. Okay, I got a plan. We can get something from Sweetie Pies and then take it over to Be Bubbly.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great idea, actually.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, and you know what, Toni? I mean, there are those ways that as businesses, there's a partnership, you know, where we can help each other with our businesses. I'm sure there's something right there because Sweetie Pies with champagne. I
Oh my
mean,
God.
Oh, yeah.
coming up with something that complements Bubbles, and you got yourself a gig.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that sounds really good.
Goodness.
Yeah.
All right, ladies, I'm going to close out this show. Thank you, Toni, so much
Thank
in your
you.
busy
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
day that you made
Mhm.
time to share yourself with us today. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for coming. And we'll look forward to, if anybody wants it to make it to China Rose's mocktail party tomorrow at 4, I'm really looking forward to boosting my immunity over a simple cocktail with maybe some bubbles afterwards. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, balance and moderation, right?
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
Anyway.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye,
Take
guys.
care.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Toni.
Bye.
Thank you, Toni.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Look at that. And they're out.